Good morning and good afternoon, students. Today I will be talking about how and why films are able to manipulate conventions of genre. With this multimedia assignment, I will be focusing on the film Shaun of the Dead, which is directed by Edward Wright. Shaun of the Dead was released on July 27th, 2004, producing a film with a budget of $6 million United States dollars and making a total box office of $30 million. It features one of Britain's most iconic comedy duos of all time, Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. Since its release, Shaun of the Dead has become an instant cult classic. It still stands on its own as one of the select few comedy horror zombie films of all time, alongside with Zombieland. The writer, actor, and comedian Simon Pegg and writer Edward Wright saw an opportunity to expand their comedic skills away from traditional sitcoms and sketches shows like Spaced and Big Train, using fast editing, tension building music scenes, and the everyday mundane British setting as backdrop to blending comedy and horror zombie genres. The named, often dreary nature of contemporary of modern living in Great Britain was the perfect material for Simon Pegg to blend a zombie narrative around. Soul-destroying work, regular nights at the local pub, and a predictable stead relationship all provided cover for a zombie apocalypse to befall London. The intention here is the writers want us to see how zombie-like modern city living is. Therefore, Pegg's character takes a disturbingly long period of time to realize things are not normal. Simon Pegg's character, Sean, is an assistant salesman at an application store. Surrounded by moody teenage colleagues, and his best mate Ed is a couch-bound druggie. They appear to spend most of their time at the local boozer. Shaun of the Dead uses various conventions such as an urban setting, slow and fast editing, the need to survive, then the quest for survival, and the typical characterization of horror and comedy conventions. Characters in this film fit both genres, comedy and horror. David is the friend that freaks out and causes a disaster, which is typical of a horror genre. Sean is the slow-witted protagonist who develops from clueless drinking, useless boyfriend to the unwitting hero. Whereas Ed is more typical of the comedic genre, clueless, self-absorbed, and funny. There are elements of horror in these characteristics. Sean, our protagonist, bends the comedic genre by becoming the hero, character trait we don't see in comedies. In this scene that we will be showing you, the urban backdrop and comedic characterization develop in the impending zombie outbreak, the comedy developing from the self-absorbed character's inability to notice that things are not what they seem. For instance, when the boys are drinking after Sean and Liz's breakup at the pub, the zombie that is hammering at the pub door is mistaken for a drunken patron, followed quickly by them exiting the pub and mistaking a zombie attack for two lovers having a snog.
Plenty more fish in the sea. I'm not going to say if you love her, let her go. And I'm not going to bombard you with cliches. But what I will say is this. It's not the end of the world.
Sorry, we're closed.
Pisshead.
Ooh, white lines,
Visions, dreams, and passion.
flowing through my mind, and all the while I think of you.
Oh,
What's right? Haven't you had your tea? Something.
The horror character is infused into the comedic genre through editing and body language. The film from the start infuses body language into the narrative. For instance, we see passengers on public transport in a zombie-like state, open-jawed, pale, bruisey looking, which foreshadows a zombie attack. Or these are zombies on the bus. If not, they are close to it as you can get. And the purpose is to show us how similar Sean's zombie-like existence resembles real-life zombies. Our protagonist in this scene seems to almost live his life in a zombie-like state, to the extent that when he is surrounded by zombies, he appears to be completely oblivious. For instance, the bloody handprint in this scene below is ignored as his focus is on a caffeine fix.
Nelson, have you got any papers? Nelson. I owe you about 15p. No, I haven't got any change. I didn't even have enough at the fucking shop. So. Oh, dear.
Whilst in other typical horror zombie films like The Return of the Living Dead, World War Z, Scouts to the Zombie Apocalypse, and Dawn of the Dead, the protagonist would notice the situation and start determining what was happening within his society. A great example of this is in the film World War Z. Protagonist Jerry Lane, played by Brad Pitt, begins to analyze his surroundings as a mass panic breaks out. The people are on a murderous rampage. Oblivious to the threat, regardless, within the 2 minutes we see a zombie attacking civilians, and Jerry realizes there's a zombie outbreak very shortly after.
Get back in your car right now! Remain with your feet!
What are we doing?
It's our way out of here.
I want my blanket! Baby, it's packed right now. Snuggle with Subway Sam, okay? My blanket! Rachel, baby, you've got to get back in your seat. Baby, we need you.
Get your belt on!
Rachel, right now. Jerry?
Rach, get your belt back on!
You okay?
Rachel, sweetheart.
Rachel, you hurt?
Honey.
You okay? It's okay.
We should get out.
Everybody out of the car.
The door won't open. Rachel, go on the outside.
Okay, you have to climb around it.
Out of the way! Get out! on, honey. Come on.
Sweetheart, are you okay?
In this final scene from Shaun of the Dead, the pool cue fight, the fast editing and rising tension of the song by Queen, Don't Stop Me Now, gives a symmetry to the action, lending it a comedic effect. The characters are being attacked in the pub, but instead of it being threatening and scary, the characters attack the zombie in a choreographed routine, to the beat of the song. It gives a serious attack a light-hearted feel.
Where the hell did he come from?
I don't know.
Tonight, I'm gonna have myself.
Well, who the hell put this on? Some random.
For fuck's sake!
Okay, Diane, get mum somewhere safe. David, kill the Queen. What's the jukebox? Liz, Ed, grab something weapony. What about the rifle? It's not real. Oh, cocktails.
What do you mean?
The flaming spirits, Drambuie, Sambuca, brandy, get a racket. Light it. What? The whole place could go up. What then? How about pool? Okay, John. It's time at the bar. I can't find the switches. Get the fuses. Why is Queen still up? We have a situation. I know. Fuck this. 2 seconds. Yes, yes. In the head.
What are you just shooting, man? Ed, for the last time.
I fucking knew it. What did I tell you? Big Al was right. Okay. But dogs can look up.
This task has asked us how and why films manipulate the conventions of genre. With Shaun of the Dead, their unique interpretations of manipulating the conventions of genre for comedy and horror bring it to a new level. The key questions that were asked by us was how and why. How does the film manipulate the conventions of genre? Shaun of the Dead uses various techniques, like the use of body language, the use of audio codes to create tension as well as humor, and slow and fast editing to manipulate the scene in the movie. The second main question that was asked was why? Why was the film manipulating the conventions of genre? Shaun of the Dead does this to change the idea of modern zombies, as well as add traditional British comedy, whilst retaining the main core elements of horror genre, building tension. Thank you for listening.